Hello, welcome back to the channel. I've just finished making this super cute pumpkin patch baby ready for Halloween. I'd love to show you how it's made. Come into the kitchen and join me.
How adorable is this little one? It's really easy to make. I'm going to show you how. First of all, you need to take the colour you'd like its little outfit and shape it into a pear shape. Next, you need to take a flat tool and push it in. This is to shape it into a pumpkin shape. I'm just going to speed this up for you. There's no need to watch me do this the whole way round. Once you've done that, you need to take any tool you have that would be suitable just to run down these and soften the lines, but also make those indentations stand out a little bit more. Should look something like this. We're going to take one of these lovely little tools now, or you can use a little pin, and you want to run that down the seam on either side. It's just going to make it look a bit more like a costume. You don't have to be too neat with this because not much of this is going to be seen, but it will just add that little extra bit of detail. Again, we'll speed this up. Once you've gone all the way round, you want to pop that to one side. Next, you're going to need a ball of the colour you'd like the little one's skin to be. Roll it into an oval shape. We're going to get a tool, you could use a straw, push it into the middle of the oval shape, and then just underneath this you want to make some small indentations just for the eye sockets. I must admit, in this next scene my camera cut out, so we do jump a little bit, but I do explain how I made the holes for the eyes. One of these Dresden tools. And then I also used it for the mouth. Added a small piece of fondant to make the little button nose. The small ball tool to put in some dimples at either side of the mouth. And then I dusted the cheeks with a little bit of pink edible powder, just to give it a little bit of colour in there in the face. Right, next we're going to work on the eyes. So we want to take a small bit of white and pop it into those holes that we've made. I always think this part of the face making looks really scary. Now we're going to add some blue. Obviously you can make the eyes as big or as small as you like. I went quite big with these because I always think babies seem to have quite big eyes. And then we're going to take some edible black paint and just go around the edges of the eyes just to add a little bit of a lash line. I always think this finishes the eye off, and you want to do that on both sides. And then pop in some pupils. You can either paint these or use a little bit of black fondant. Same with the lash line, you can use a bit of black fondant for that. Scary baby face. Starting to come together a little bit now. I also do put a little bit of black into the mouth, just checking it's the right size for my little pumpkin outfit. There we go. Now this is the scary bit. You need to chop off her head, or his head. I always say take a little bit off because you can't put it back on, but you can take more off. Just shaping it here. Next, take some more of the pink fondant and make a little pumpkin hat. You do this in exactly the same way as that you made your little pumpkin pear costume, but this time in a smaller shape. And keep playing around with that until you get the right shape and size. Here I just took it off and took a little bit more off her head because it wasn't sitting right. Now we're just adding the stitching around the hat. You don't have to do this, but it just helps it tie in with the little outfit. And then we want a little bit of green for the top of the pumpkin hat. Just finishes it off. If you've squashed anything, just reshape it before it sets. And here I'm just taking a little bit of water and tidying up any spots. As you can see here, I'll just show you. You wet it down with a wet paintbrush, dry your paintbrush off, and it should just lift it all away. Next we're going to add its little ears on. You'll see as this tutorial goes along, I've got more and more bits and pieces on the side where there's so many different colours. Just show you a close-up of putting those ears on. So you want to take a little ball and then you make sure it's positioned right, poke a little hole, and then if you want to flatten it out a bit more, you can run your tool over. Just use it to position it in the right spot. Ideally you want to position the ears so that they're in line with the nose, as that's where they are naturally. Now it's time to sculpt a little bit of hair. So I've just made a little strand and then put some details of little lines in to make it look like hair. And then because this is supposed to be a younger child, I am just doing a few small strands, but obviously if it's someone that's older, you could give it little pigtails coming out of the back, could add a bit more of a fringe in, obviously do different colours. This is where I'm making the lollipops. I've just twisted 2 different strands of icing together and then a small bit of white, and I've just popped that to one side. My hands are getting sticky here, so that's me just popping a bit of corn flour on. And now onto the arms. So to get both of the arms the same length and thickness, I've just rolled out 1 piece of fondant for both and I'm cutting it in half. And then we want to make a little ball at the end to make a hand and squash it out. Make the wrist and the elbow. And I've popped a couple of lines in here because I think the smaller children look quite cute with little rolls. Once you've got it positioned how you like, just curl over the hand because this is going to be what's holding the lollipop, and then we want to cut the top at an angle. I'm just going to use a little bit of water to pop that into the side. You may have noticed I've pushed the ball tool in to make some little indentations where I want the arms to go. That's just so they sit in a bit better. And then the second hand I've popped a cocktail stick in just to hold it up. I'm going to let that set before I play with it too much. And while that's setting, I'm just going to paint on a little face. I start with the mouth. This is just black edible paint like we used on the eyes. Pop her hand out the way. Tidying that up with a bit of water. Now I'm going to make a bar of chocolate. Because I wasn't quite sure what way the chocolate was going to be in the little one's hand, I did do both sides of the chocolate with this pattern on it. And if you remember that little tool we used earlier to do the stitching, we're going to use that again, but to take a bite mark out of the chocolate. And what we're going to do is we're going to just push that in sideways just so that we get the little mouth mark on the chocolate, and then we're going to make those indentations a bit more obvious with our flat tool. This is what I did for the arms. I'm just doing it again for the legs, using the ball tool to make a little hole. And then we're going to make some chubby little legs, turn the ends over for feet. And you want to do that for both sides. And then we need to let them set up a little bit before we put the toes on. So I just add the chocolate into the little one's hand. This is what it's looking like so far. And now we're going to make some tiny little pumpkins to go with our baby. So we just take a small ball of whatever colours you would like your pumpkins to be and run the edge round again. This time we don't need to put the stitching in because this one's going to be a bit more like an actual pumpkin. Check that that's around the right size to sit on the little one's leg. We haven't stuck the legs in yet, and this is because we need to take them out to do the toes. So you can see here I tried to do the toes with it on the table just to give the legs a little bit less handling, but actually I do prefer to pick them up, which you'll see in a moment. Now at the side of the foot you want to pop in some little lines, that just makes it look a little bit more like a foot. I'm just showing you popping the toes on here on the other foot. So you want to take some small balls. You want to put the biggest one on the inside of the foot, and that is because our big toes are on the inside of our foot. And then we go smaller and smaller as we go down. Now I've just popped that on a cake board because that's now all ready to set. I'm doing a bigger pumpkin to pop behind her, and then for a bit of variation we've got some green ones as well, and I've done a tall one here. This is exactly the same as the smaller ones. You push in to make the indentations and then pop a little stalk in the top. Another little round one. And there we go, that's our pumpkin patch baby. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing, clicking the like button and the bell notification. Thanks for joining me, hopefully see you again soon.